Europe is preparing for war? Please explain that for us.
Yesterday, Euronews reported that there was a new report that says Europe could face aggression within the next decade from Russia. They think this is a conceivable thing. They say that Moscow could be ready to attack within 3 to 10 years. They say that they need to add another 300,000 troops. So they want to have a great army.
Are Europe's preparations for the defensive war mentioned in the Bible?
The Bible prophesies that Europe's going to have a great army and many ships. And PESCO is calling for more troops, nuclear weapons, and other weapons consistent with those prophecies. The Bible prophesies that Europe will be militarily successful for a time in the book of Revelation and the book of Daniel. And it'll be an aggressor against the United States, actually, in Daniel. The Bible shows a leader is going to rise talking peace in Europe. For example, I'm going to go to Daniel chapter 8, starting verse 24. It says, his power will be mighty. He shall destroy fearfully. He'll prosper and thrive. He'll destroy the mighty and holy people. Through his cunning, he will cause deceit to prosper under his rule. So he's going to be deceitful. And it says in another translation, the Old King James, Daniel 8:25, he'll magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. And in Daniel 11, verses 23 to 24, it says, after a deal is made with him, he's going to act deceitfully. Verse 24, he's going to enter peaceably, even into the richest places of the province. He'll do what his fathers have not done, nor his forefathers. He'll disperse among the plunder, the spoil riches, and shall devise plans against the strongholds, but only for a time. Now, this leader is going to give the impression he's going for peace. And the word for peace in the Hebrew word actually means security. But he's going to destroy many. So basically, he's going to make some deals with people. They're going to think that they're safe, and perhaps like violating the NATO agreements. And, these kind of deals are usually called peace deals or treaties.
So is the Bible telling us that the European Union will attack the country with the strongholds and prevail?
Well, it's going to be a European power. It may or may not be called the European Union.
Okay. What country has these strongholds?
The United States of America.
Okay. Well, are you telling us that the United States really is mentioned in the Bible?
Yeah, and I'll discuss that shortly in more detail. But for right now, I want to just go with the fact that in Revelation chapter 17, verses 12 to 13, it says Europe is going to reorganize and give its power to one called the beast. So people can read that. Now, furthermore, it talks about this beast in Revelation 13. He rises up from a particular sea. He has power. The dragon, that is Satan, by the way, gives him his power and his throne and his authority. One of his heads looks like it's mortally wounded, but it's healed. And the world's going to marvel and follow the beast. In verse 4 of Revelation 13, it says, so they worship the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who's like the beast? Who can make war with him? This is because he's going to be a successful military leader, because he will be knocking off places that nobody thought would happen. And Europe's been taking a lot of steps in order to rise up. And the reality is, statements and actions by Donald Trump are motivating more and more European leaders to publicly be vocal about what Europe wants to do.
Still, it just doesn't seem possible that Europe, which seems about to crumble, could actually defeat the United States.
Many in the United States believe it's not possible either. But those who understand Bible prophecy know that it is prophesied. In Daniel chapter 11, verse 39, you asked about where the United States is mentioned in the Bible. I was asked this on the radio like 16 years ago, and I quoted this scripture. Thus he, now this is the European king of the north, shall act against the strongest fortresses with a foreign god, which he'll acknowledge and advance his glory. He will cause him to rule over many and divide the land for gain. Now, this is talking about the United States. The United States has the strongest fortresses. And after the United States is defeated, by the way, this person's called the King of the North. It's going to go against a power of basically the Muslim countries in the Middle East and North Africa. We can read about that in Daniel 11, verses 40 to 41. It says, at the time of the end, so this is not something that happened a long time ago. This is at the time of the end, the king of the south, which is this Muslim confederation, going to attack him. And the king of the north is going to come against him like a whirlwind with chariots, horsemen, and many ships, a bunch of weapons. He's going to enter the countries and overwhelm them and pass through. So notice that the European king can end up with a lot of weapons the time he defeats the king of the south.
So is there anything mentioned about Europe and Russia?
Well, I read that Europe's concerned that they could have a conflict with Russia in the next 10 years, and that can happen. Now, I was in Daniel chapter 11. See what happens after the United States and the British descended allies are gone, and after the Muslim power is defeated. Verse 44. But news from the east and north shall trouble this European leader. Therefore, he's going to go out with great fury to destroy and annihilate many. He will plant the tents of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he will come to his end, and no one will help him. Now, what is north and east of Europe?
Okay.
Russia and the lands of Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Will Europe win this war? Not according to the Bible. Right. Jeremiah chapter 50. Move from the midst of Babylon. Get out of the land of the Chaldeans. The European power will be the mystery Babylon we read about in the New Testament. Verse 9, Jeremiah 50. I will raise up and cause against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. What's the only north country that's got the military? Mm-hmm. We're not talking about Canada. I mean, they've got a military. We're talking about Russia.
Okay. They
shall array themselves against her. And here's another one, Isaiah chapter 13. It says, lift up your voice, starting verse 2. Lift up a banner. I've commanded mighty ones. Verse 4. The noise of the multitude of mountains, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. They come from a far country, from the ends of heaven, to destroy the whole land. Wail, for the day of the Lord is at hand. Pangs and sorrows are going to take hold of them, like a woman in childbirth. They're going to be amazed at one another. Their faces will be like flames. Now, continuing in Isaiah 13, it's going to go down to verse 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. They won't regard silver or gold. They won't delight in it. Their bows will dash young men to pieces. They'll have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes won't spare the children. And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' pride, will be like when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. God is going to use these people. And the Medes, by the way, are in lands such as Russia, parts of Ukraine, Belarus. Okay. And getting back to Jeremiah, he also warns about the Medes getting together. Jeremiah 51, verse 11. Make the arrows bright. Gather the shields. The Lord has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. There's more than one king of the Medes. There's more than one country involved here. Okay. For his plan is against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple, for his temple. Now, European leaders, they don't take these biblical prophecies seriously, but right now they do see Russia as a potential threat.
Okay.
They see the situation in Ukraine. They see U.S. President Donald Trump. They don't like either one. They're scared enough to now publicly support militaristic goals and to say that they could be independent of the United States. Look, the news report that I read from Euronews says they want a great army and they want more weapons, just like we see the Bible prophesies, by the way, specifically in Daniel 11, verse 25 and Daniel 11, verse 40. Okay? Now, Europe's military goals are not going to end up well for the United States. I read Daniel 11:39, power of the strongest fortresses gets destroyed. It's not going to end up well for the Middle East, because they'd lose as the king of the north will defeat the king of the south. But it's not also going to end up very well for Europe itself, because God is going to send a Russian-led confederation, including other Asian nations. Now, that said, there is good news, because after Europe is defeated by the Eurasian power, our Bibles show us that Jesus is going to return and he's going to establish the millennial kingdom.
Okay.
And also, just add a couple minor things, not minor, but other things to this. In Revelation chapter 19, we read that when Jesus comes, he's going to get rid of the king of the north and the Antichrist and throw them into the lake of fire. But then afterwards, the millennial kingdom is going to be established. But before then, we're going to have tribulation, totalitarianism, and war.